You've spent hours prepping. The counters are spotless, the ingredients are fresh, and the final plate looks flawless. But what you just can't see is the microscopic fallout from a single careless moment 5 minutes earlier. A quick touch of raw meat, a skipped hand wash, and suddenly that pristine meal is teeming with pathogens. This infographic breaks down the mechanics of cross-contamination. It shows pathogens, allergens, and chemicals moving directly from raw, contaminated foods straight onto your ready-to-eat salad. All of that careful prep work is invalidated the moment the transfer chain is allowed to complete. A single lapse in basic hygiene transforms a healthy dinner into a delivery system for foodborne illness. Human hands act as the primary transit system for these bacteria, carrying pathogens from one surface to the next throughout the entire kitchen. This graphic identifies the 3 main vectors of transfer. Pathogens move via direct contact between foods, indirect contact from shared utensils or hands, or environmental contact through pests and poor waste handling. This food safety defense grid outlines the architecture required to block all 3 vectors at once. It maps the personal, spatial, equipment, and environmental layers. But every other layer fails if personal hygiene lapses, making this top row the anchor. We start at the front line. Your personal habits serve as the first barrier capable of breaking the transfer chain. Look at the glowing zones on these hands. Effective hand washing requires 20 seconds of scrubbing high-risk areas under your fingernails. Timing is also critical. The right sequence demonstrates you must wash and change gloves immediately after handling raw meat, before touching the sandwich bread. Disposable gloves offer no inherent protection if they are not changed. If they aren't discarded between tasks, they will smear raw meat juices across a clean counter just as effectively as bare skin. Clean hands are the bottleneck of kitchen safety. Without militant personal hygiene, every downstream effort to sanitize the workspace is wasted. Once your hands are clean, we move to the second layer of the grid, managing the specific tools and spaces those hands interact with. This visual system prevents accidental tool overlap. By using a red board for raw meat and a green board for fresh produce, you physically separate the pathogens of the steak from the safety of the salad. You must also organize storage to defy gravity. This fridge cross-section shows high-risk raw poultry in leak-proof trays on the absolute lowest shelf, ensuring that any leaking juices hit the floor rather than the ready-to-eat foods below. This graphic highlights the difference between cleaning and sanitizing. Cleaning removes visible debris, but sanitizing is what actively destroys the microscopic bacteria left behind on the surface. Physical barriers are also required. Look at the central splash guard in this sink setup. It isolates the dirty dish zone from the clean zone. If an egg breaks in a shared sink, the basin must be fully sanitized before fresh produce enters it. Contaminated liquids require a total reset. As shown in the neutralization rule on the right, any marinade that has touched raw meat must be boiled for at least 5 minutes before it can be reused as a sauce. This second layer uses physical boundaries and visual cues to ensure that once hands are clean, the tools they touch don't immediately recontaminate them. The final layer of the grid addresses the external environment, preventing outside threats from breaching the kitchen. Your defense begins during transport. This shopping cart illustration shows raw meat packages isolated inside disposable plastic bags, keeping leaks away from fresh produce before they ever enter the kitchen. Waste management must be touch-free. The foot pedal bin on the left prevents your hands from touching dirty lids, ensuring you don't carry pathogens from the trash back to your prep surface. Pests like insects and rodents act as living vectors, carrying diseases from outside dumpsters directly onto your sanitized cutting boards. Environmental hygiene is the final protective shell. Neglecting waste and pest control gives these living vectors a free pass to bypass every internal hygiene defense you've built. Cross-contamination is the direct, predictable result of broken habits and lazy defense layers. These 4 icons represent the rules of a zero-transfer kitchen. Isolate raw from ready, clean then sanitize, respect the fridge hierarchy, and protect the perimeter. A zero-transfer kitchen serves as a point of pride and a mandatory standard for anyone serious about culinary craft. Respect the grid. Maintain strict personal hygiene and take responsibility for every point of contact in your kitchen.